Hi everyone, welcome to World Affairs in Context. Before we begin, please take a second to follow the podcast on alternative media channels. As always, you will find them linked in the description below. As the recent events in the Middle East raise questions and concerns of whether Iran will choose to retaliate to the latest attack on its territory that happened just a couple of days ago, and if we will see a major escalation in the coming days in the region, there is one very interesting event that is about to take place. It's going to be a massive event for the Wall Street and Silicon Valley investors. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who was noticeably absent from the annual BRICS Plus summit last week, is now getting prepared to host the biggest names in finance and in tech industries, including Goldman Sachs Group's David Solomon, Citigroup's Jane Fraser, BlackRock's Larry Fink, because nothing happens without Larry Fink these days. Alphabet President Ruth Porat will be there, TikTok CEO Shao Chu, Silicon Valley's Benjamin Horowitz. And so in addition to these high-profile attendees, guests are expected to come from around the world. Once again, MBS puts everything else aside, even the widening war and geopolitical tensions in the region, and focuses on the top priority, of course, investments and cash. Saudi Arabia is hosting the Future Investment Initiatives event with the biggest finance and technology names in attendance. There are already more than 7,000 registered attendees, so this is going to be a big event. The goal is to attract investors to transform the kingdom into a global hub in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia is working towards its $1 trillion project Vision 2030 that focuses on creating advanced infrastructure in the kingdom, on expanding social services, developing economy, investments in education, and commerce. Its projects under the umbrella of Vision 2030 are truly massive, and I was actually very shocked to learn about some of them, and I think you might be too. Let's quickly take a look at just a couple, the ones that surprised me the most. The first one is called NEOM, Project NEOM, and it seeks to transform the Red Sea coast of northwest Saudi Arabia into a futuristic city unlike any other on the planet. It will be 100% powered by renewable energy. NEOM will transform the coastal area into a high-tech place without any fossil fuels involved. Another futuristic project is called the Saudi Genome Program, and this one is just shocking. Its goal is to construct a pioneering database that will not only capture the genetic blueprint of Saudi society, but also revolutionize healthcare by enabling personalized medicine, driving down healthcare costs. So now you get a sense of what this futuristic vision is and how much it may cost. I don't believe that any other country, at least that I know of, has plans similar to these. The Western countries are now in economic decline, and their priorities are not to build up infrastructure, not to invest back and build up society, but to continue funding conflicts abroad and regime changes. As we know, it is true. So to make this vision happen, MBS needs resources, and what better way to find them than to work with the wealthiest and the most influential people in the West, who of course pursue their own goals when they invest in the Saudi kingdom. Saudi Arabia is the biggest economy in the Persian Gulf region, and so it does make sense that investors from all over the world refuse to pass up this opportunity, and they flock to the kingdom despite what's going on in the region. MBS is likely facing more difficulties now attracting considerable investments given the negative prospects related to the stability in the region and the possibility that a major escalation may break out quite literally any day, any minute. The Middle East is a conflict region, and so investors typically stay away from high-risk adventures that may not yield high returns. However, given Saudi Arabia's relations with the West, this may be an exception since there's just so much interest in this event despite what's going on in neighboring countries. According to Bloomberg, deals worth more than $28 billion with a B dollars are likely to be announced over the next week by executives from around the world, and this is according to the CEO of the forum itself. A $40 billion deal might be on the horizon, with Anderson Horowitz, and MBS is expected to announce a considerable investment in hydrogen as part of at least a $10 billion business venture. Despite Saudi Arabia's natural resources, it is still running budget deficits, so attracting foreign investors is now its key goal. And this, of course, might explain some of the foreign policy choices lately and the way that it's handling what's happening in Gaza. It really doesn't want to upset the West too much, but still it wants to make friends with the East, so it seems. Recently, it has been reported that Saudi's income from crude oil sales has declined to the lowest level in more than 3 years. Because its economy is so dependent on oil sales, it needs massive investments to make its Vision 2030 come true. Lately, Saudi Arabia has made an effort to develop economic ties with the East, as you know, particularly with China, since China is the biggest crude oil importer and also the biggest trading partner in general of Saudi Arabia. During the Future Investment Initiatives event, they will launch 2 exchange-traded funds in Riyadh that will allow Saudi investors to trade Hong Kong stocks. So Saudi Arabia appears to be making an effort to balance its ties with the West, very, very close ties, with the desire to develop ties with the East. On its own terms, of course. Here's the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia explaining what Vision 2030 is and why it is so important, and essentially why Saudi Arabia is pursuing these type of policies where it's trying to play both sides at the same time, and it remains to be seen what comes out of this new path in their foreign policy.
Clearly, the world's population is interested mostly in their livelihoods. And we need to focus on, Vision 2030 is very much focused on, in the kingdom, delivering sustainable prosperity for the Saudi people. And I think that needs to be the driving agenda for us in the global community. How can we better work together? How can we foster more cooperation? How can we focus on an agenda that delivers sustainable development prosperity for all? Because if we don't, geopolitical risks increase significantly. The risks that we do not deliver on the aspirations of the people of the world increase. So it's very interesting that this result that I heard, because it doesn't reflect right now in the global agenda, in the global political agenda enough. And we need to work better towards addressing these concerns. I think we are entering a very polarized time. And this polarization is driving us in directions that are not going to serve these goals that you just outlined that the people clearly have. When we talk about political polarization, that reduces cooperation. It reduces the potential for innovation. So it's a very interesting result that you had, and it should be a wake-up call to us, diplomats and politicians.